Welcome to Insight with Moonshadow. I am Moonshadow. I am an integrative, holistic therapist, intuitive, and shamanic mind, body, and spirit healer and evangelist. Now, today is a very interesting episode of Insight with Moonshadow. Something I've been working with recently, and I've touched base with it prior to, but really wanted to delve deeper into the yogic breathing and Tibetan breathing. And this could be incredibly, effective when you are, as some of my friends in the UK, and there's someone in the room as well, when you're losing the plot or falling apart, you can take a moment to do this, and this is very, very helpful. So now, of course, we know who the Dalai Lama is. You have to have lived under a rock to not know at least something about the Dalai Lama. But they are born into this position of service. They believe that they're a reincarnation of, a messenger, the next messenger. So it's a very, very strong training and everything, as from a young child all the way up. So now, with this, I discovered this through the Dalai Lama. I was like, wow, this is really, really cool. So I wanted to share this with you. So now, this yogic breathing, or with this type of meditation, it's not so complicated. There are a few steps involved, but it's actually incredibly powerful. And I went ahead and tried it for the last week. So in doing this, this was something that really, and thank you so much, Anna. This is something that's very, very powerful stuff to ground you and center you. Because in the world today, we have this, it's so frenetic. It's so chaotic. We get the monkey mind going all the time. And it's so difficult to rein it all in. We're stuck in traffic. We have to drive with a lot of other people that may not be clued in or centered as well. You are dealing with new opportunities, new situations. Your boss might be not so necessarily agreeable, things like that. And all of that tends to get in the way of our own bliss, our own grounding, our own balance, our own joy. So looking at it from that perspective, it could be very, very difficult to kind of rein it in when all this is happening. And welcome, Michelle. Glad you made it. So all of this, it means it's so much more important for us. And, and an ongoing theme here with my show Insight with Moonshadow, it's the fact of self-care. We all go to the gym and we take care of our bodies, right? We go to the gym and we work out and do all that. We may try to eat the best we can or stay within nutritional levels and try to not overdo certain foods and things like that. But do we necessarily take care of all of those aspects, the mind, body, and the spirit? Because that also is incredibly important. Because if you're like I said, if you're losing the plot, if you're not fully clued in or cued in or grounded, what's going to happen? Something is going to be lost in translation. You're not going to sleep so well. You're not going to eat so well. You're not going to feel so well. And then eventually can turn into dis-ease. And what illness is a dis-ease, whether it be mental, physical, or spiritual. And it'll affect all those parts of you. So self-care is so hugely important. And I have found that in my adversity, a lot of time, you really need to like look at it. You really need to look at yourself and stop. Sometimes it's like that whole thing with if there's a fire, you all take a breath, you go single file. There's that structure, we hear that stop, drop, and roll, that kind of thing in an adversarial type situation. Now, that is in the same instance where you're really feeling like overly anxious or overly upset. Sometimes the one key factor here is for you to stop for a second and breathe. And we kind of take it for granted because we do it involuntarily. But when you really breathe mindfully, you're bringing, and this is for all you logical and nerdy people, geeky people that don't like the whole ethereal type situation. Scientifically, more oxygen to the brain makes the brain work better. It's more efficient. You think better. You're quicker on your feet. All these things are important. So, metaphorically, if you think about it, if we walk around hyperventilating all the time, and a lot of people do, not literally, but they're always like anxious. It's that hyperventilation, that constantly being in stress mode is not always good, and it's going to affect you physically. If it's not quickly, it's going to affect you eventually, and that's where stress can cause cancer and all kinds of, a laundry list of problems for you. So that being the case, this is why I wanted to share with you this really, really powerful way of breathing. It's slightly technical, but it's not. It's pretty easy to get into. It's pretty easy to learn, and it's pretty easy to remember. So it's not something that doesn't take all kinds of major training or anything like that. And purposely today, which I may follow up with a deeper form of the same meditation and go a little deeper under the surface, but I'm going to keep it at a level where we can all kind of get into it without explaining Dantian and Dantian breathing and yogic breathing, and that can make your head spin with all the details. But with this is an easy walk in the door introductory way of getting a lot of the effects of this breathing technique and meditation. And then you can find yourself being able to at least interrupt and minimize your anxiety. If you're someone that has panic attacks, this can be an amazing technique for you. It is mindful. You have to be mindful about it. But it's actually a very, very cool technique. So, now, first of all, it's important to be comfortable. You could be seated in a chair. You could be seated on a mat or a cushion, like I was outside previously to having to move indoors. You could also, but you want to sit comfortably. You want to make sure that your back is nice and straight. You want to, show good posture, because that also affects pain levels in your back as well. Like if you slouch all the time, then of course you're putting pressure on your vertebrae, and then you can cause issues and problems there. And a lot of people don't have great posture, and a lot of us have to work on it, me included. So if you have your back straight, that's a good start. You want to imagine that there's a thread like there's a thread or a line going straight through your crown, all the way down through and connecting to the earth, the center of the earth. So it's a nice straight cord or line. Now, once you do that, and of course, the spine is not straight. However, you're going to touch the spine regardless, because we're all connected, to the heavens by our head and by our, etheric being. And then it all goes all the way down through onto our feet, and we're connected to the earth. So all of that makes a difference. So good posture is really, really important. Now, once you have the good posture going and you can kind of feel it, if you need to move a little bit, we can do that, just to kind of start things going. You can kind of move and stretch and turn and kind of get more acclimated within your body. Now, once you do that, and I'll let you guys do that a couple of times, kind of get situated into your sitting area. Hey, Mario, welcome. And let me know. You guys can throw up a 1. Oh, I'm good, Mario. You guys can throw up a 1 to say when you're ready. And then I can move on to the next. And we can start the working with the technique. Okay, Terry's ready. Fantastic. Okay, Anna's ready. And we're not in a rush. This is not about being in a rush. This is about taking time for yourself. This is about self-care. This is about putting yourself in a good mind state so you can connect fully with your body, your mind, and your spirit. And therefore, you're going to be more effective with life, with work, with your interactions with people. So all of that's important. Okay, looks like a lot of people are ready. Excellent. Okay, so I'm going to step back a little bit. Now, this isn't part of the technique, but this is an add-on for me. To get your energy moving in your hands, you can rub your hands together. Welcome, True Spiritual Gifts. It's happening. Rub your hands together. And what this does is this is increasing your vibration in your hands. And you can feel your hands tingle. And I'm not even moving it that strongly. If you just, yeah, exactly. So what this does is this just basically, whenever I'm doing energy work on someone, I warm up my hands. It's like warming up your hands. You're just basically rubbing them together. You don't have to rub them hard, just lightly rubbing them together. And that basically, like right now, the energy around my hands are now tingling. It's almost like a coolness and a tingling feeling around my hands. And we will be using our hands with this technique of yogic breathing, or the breathing that I had learned from looking at different people, as well as Dalai Lama also did that as well, and practices that as well. Okay, and True Gifts is saying, am I a light worker or a dark worker or both? Okay, well, it's a good question. Most people are light workers. There is a shadow side as well, where sometimes you have to work with getting rid of things. So sometimes doing shadow work is a little different. It's not necessarily positive or negative. It's just a different technique of how to extract, like soul retrieval, and things are in the middle of that, right? And I agree with you, Mario. The intentions are really the case, because if you're getting rid of something, that will make a big difference as well. So no different than if you go for a job interview and you show confidence. Now, confidence is a very fine line away from aggression, because it's a very aggressive way of interacting, right? So when you're confident, you're walking and saying, look, I know this, I have this, I want this opportunity. When it's egotistical and it's cockiness, then it's different. So that's kind of just a little example of light and dark. There are good in both. It's all about intention, though. You're not doing any kind of ill will or any kind of wrong intention to someone. So that's always good. Like juju, for example, a lot of people in this room know that I mention juju a lot. I'm sending good juju. Well, juju could be good or bad, right? It's energy. No different than I could take something and, throw it at you, or I can give it to you as a gift, so it's all about intention. I hope that answered your question. Now, to continue, what we're going to do is, yes, and I agree with you, True. I agree with you completely. There are a lot of influences and entities out there, and it's up to you to make sure that you're in connection with your guides and with your life protectors and your totems to be able to ground and protect yourself and people around you. Hey, Estella, welcome. And also too, on that note as well, a lot of times, like, I don't use that protective bubble type mentality, and it's not because I don't think it's viable. I think it's incredibly viable, and it's a mindful technique. But luckily, throughout all the years I've worked with my own council, my own inner council, my own inner spiritual tribe, where they're protecting me all the time. So it's like a constant checking in. I'm never really alone anywhere. So that's a big, it's true. So using protective energy is important for sure. Now, saying that, to start this, again, not a seriously difficult technique, but it's a little bit of a learning curve. What you want to do, first thing is first, you have a hand position. Now the hand position is you're taking your thumbs and you're putting your thumbs where your ring fingers are, right? The base of your ring finger. And you're making loose fist. So this is kind of how you're doing, like almost like a paw, right? Like a bear paw. So this is the start of it. And this is exactly how the Dalai Lama had instructed it. So this is why I'm following his tutorial, basically. So now, if you have it like this, you have your fingers at your base of your ring finger, and you have your thumb. And now you have your hands down by your knees, posture straight, head straight looking forward, and you want your tongue, the tip of your tongue, to be touching the roof of your mouth. That's also so you can be in full connection. Now, in this position, now that when you kind of get your center in this position, you're putting your hands out in front of you. You're taking your right hand and you're putting it in your left, like right up in close to in between your arm and your armpit. And then once you do that, you want to take your hand and use these two fingers and put them on the side of your nose. So on the right side of your nose. And there's a reason for this as well, because now you're integrating both sides. You're integrating both sides of your energy, both hemispheres of your brain, everything. So now you put your hand on this nostril, the opposite nostril. And you want to breathe in. And you want to do this, for all intents and purposes, I'm doing this. Yes. Well, you can still do it with your thumb under your ring finger, see? Well, there you go. So once you do that, and I apologize if it sounds really complicated now. Yes, sorry, Mario. But once we get the first one done, then the first start of the process, you guys will get this in no time because you guys are incredibly savvy and incredibly smart. So it's not even an issue. You guys got to get it right after this, after the first time. So now once you do that, and then you want to breathe in nice and slow and deep. So you're closing off this nostril and you're breathing in nice and deep. Now you want to hold it because that's not how you go to exhale. Now when you're ready to exhale, you put your hand on your other nostril and exhale through that nostril. Now we're going to do this 2 more times. You could do it more if you like. Just keep it even numbers to both sides because we're going to be utilizing each side and incorporating them both. So now that you have that, let's do this 3 times now that you have the idea. Okay. That's interesting, isn't it? So that's just one side. So now we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So now hands out, ring your thumbs up near your ring finger. You have a loose fist. This is about relaxation, not about combat. A loose fist. Put your hands out and then bring your left hand in between your arm and your armpit. And then bring your hand over and do the same thing 3 times. Thank you, Mario. Okay, let's do this again. 3 times. Now we've done both sides. Now at this point, you want to incorporate, because with this yogic type breathing, what you're doing is you're working with one side of the body, one side of the body's energetic field, an auric field, and also one part of the brain. You're working with the opposite side of the brain. So now when you're working on the other side, you're working on the opposite side of the brain, because the right side is the creative side, the left side is the more concrete side, the more analytical side. So now that we have each side taken care of, now we need to incorporate it. So that in essence is like when you go to the gym and you work with dumbbells with one hand, or you work with kettlebells with one hand, then you work with kettlebells with the other, and then you use both hands in unison. So we're doing the same type technique and the same kind of mentality of bringing it all in. Now, to be able to bring it in, it's a little bit different. What we're going to do is you still have, your hands where you have your thumbs, your ring finger, and you have a light fist or like a bear paw, and you have it down by your knees. Now, you guys can't see my knees, but what you're going to do is when you breathe in through your nose, you are going to you're going to curl, like you have the paws, right? So you let them out a little bit. You're going to breathe in, and when you breathe in, you're going to bring in your fingers as you breathe in nasally. Okay? So for the sake of instruction, as you breathe in, you're like, and then as you exhale through your nose, you're going to go. Okay? So same thing. You have your hands like this, right? Thumbs on your ring finger. Down by your knees, posture straight, looking straight ahead, and your tongue on the roof of your mouth. And now you're incorporating both sides. And you're going to nasally breathe in 3 times. And then we're going to, you curl your fingers in. You bring your fingers into that light fist. And then when you exhale, you bring them out. Okay? So let's do that now. Yeah, that's a good thing, because there'd be snot everywhere. But yeah, Terry's saying she's glad she nitty potted this morning. And this is also going to increase your airflow into your lungs as well. So this is not just something where it's a spiritual technique and modality. This is also working very well in your physical. Now, in working in doing this, once you've done that, and now you're in that position where your posture's straight, hopefully you're more calm. How are you guys feeling right now? You can share a little bit in the side chat before I open the seat, because we're going to go with a little bit more with meditation and guided meditation. Excellent. Terry's saying she's really calm. She's feeling great. Now, some of you may have never done this before, and I've done it not this intensely. Well, that's okay. You can't lengthen your thumb, so any right. So you can just, as far as you can go, you know what I mean? If you can reach this far, then do that. You know, it depends on the person. Awesome. And that's important. That's important too. Good intentions always help. We'll have to get into that. That's a different topic, but we can get into that after the after show, Terry. You're welcome. Beth is saying I'm always calming her or making her go to sleep on my show every Monday. Well, hopefully it's good restful sleep as opposed to disruptive sleep, because a lot of us sleep in installments, as I say. Yes. And honestly, I don't think that's an issue of that, Terry, with thumb length. I don't think size matters in that case. I think it's more intention than anything. But so now that we're in that space of being calm, good posture, now you're being more receptive. You're more open, right? So when you're open, now you're going to find your attention span being more focused, you're going to find your attention span. And again, like previously speaking about the monkey mind's going to come in and it's going to try to get in the way. It's going to remind you of laundry lists and things you have to do and work and everything. So ultimately, when you look at that from that perspective, you just don't entertain it for too long. You let it come in and you let it drift out. I actually use the physical technique of moving things out. So say, for example, I'm here and my monkey mind decides to disrupt me because I have like a troop full of monkeys in my head 24/7. I take a look and then a thought comes in. So a thought comes in and I will literally stop it and move it out of the way. And it may take a couple of times for you to do that. That's a great show. I'd like to be on that sometime. So that being the case, now when you're in that space, that calming space, then you can really do some good meditative guided visualizations, and you can keep it nice and simple. And I'll give you a simple technique. What you do is you focus. If you want to focus on an actual physical thing, you could do that. The secret there is you want to put it in your line sight where you're not doing this, you're not looking down, you're not looking up. You want as straight as posture as you can. And you want to put it around 4 or 5 feet away from you. So you don't have to squint, you don't have to do anything like that. And again, this is only for the sake of a focal point. Now, depending on spirituality, if you are go by a certain faith, you can use, a cross, a crucifix, a saint, an angel, anything like that. You can do that. Or you could use an image that you like. It could be your favorite plant. It could be a crystal. It could be a candle. If you're Buddhist and you want to align yourself with Buddha energy, you can imagine a Buddha, or you can literally put a Buddha in front of you. So this is something, if you need the physical, then there's nothing wrong with putting a physical object for a focal point. Now, you don't want to overstress your eyes. You just want to look, gently. Your eyes may close, they may open, whichever, and that's fine. But it's not about straining or stressing yourself. It's really about just focusing, but in a soft way. Okay? So once you do that, like right now in front of me, I have a big wall hanging in front of me, and I literally see in front of me, I see a bear, because this wall hanging has a lion, cheetahs, camels, bears, lions, tigers, and bears, oh my. But it's got a bunch of different animals on this wall hanging. So right in front of me on the wall is the image of a bear in this big, huge wall hanging. So this would be perfect. So now, well, yeah, either that or I can take a picture of it and share it. I can do that too. Be a lot of spinning around, but that's possible. So now, while you're doing that, and while you're focused there, and you have your focal point, now just a little FYI, what happens, oh yeah, I'm not on the phone, so I don't have, my camera's not on the other side, and I literally have to flip the computer around. But that's a good suggestion though. So now while you're in that space, that breathing space, and you're breathing in, you could do that nasal breathing and just focus on that. So like right now I'm focusing on the bear, right? So I can sit there, posture straight, not stiff and rigid, but posture straight, and just look. And then breathe in nasally. And then you want to breathe in and breathe out through your nose. That's where you're going to get more effective breathing. You're going to get more energy into your body and more oxygen to your brain. And you're also going to be able to filter any kind of things, because you don't have the filter like breathing through your mouth, correct? So now you're breathing through your nose, and it's more mindful and intentional. Plus, it also empowers your dantian, which we'll get into the deeper state of breathing another time. So now you're looking ahead and you're breathing in and out. Now that, doing that technique, now that's with your eyes open. Now, once you get, if there's a certain image that you could mentally think of, and a lot of us here have very vivid imaginations, you could focus on the image in your mind, with your third eye, and you have your eyes closed. And again, not squinting closed, just nice and lightly closed. Your tongue on the roof of your mouth, your hands on your knees, comfortably sitting, straight posture, and you can focus on that image in your mind. And we'll try that for 3. So you want to inhale nasally, hold it for a second, and then let it all out. I want to do the same thing both ways, internally, inwardly, and outwardly. Welcome, Marvin. So now, and I'm glad this is working for you, True Gifts. Honestly, this is something where it is building a deeper mindfulness with you, and it's connecting all those etheric bodies, your mind, body, and your spirit. And we don't do that enough. So when you connect your mind, body, and your spirit, then you are actually starting to really get to know you. You're going to build your intuitive gifts. You're going to look at things differently. Like, don't be surprised if even looking right now at the computer screen, your eyes are a little clearer. You ended up getting more oxygen to your brain with this technique. And thank you for that, Anna. And honestly, Buddhists and yogi masters have been doing this type of breathing for so long, and it's no wonder that it seems like they're the master of their destiny, right? They look like they're the master of everything. It's like nothing bothers them. And it's taken a lot of inner work for things not to bother me so quickly as well. Well, I appreciate that. David Bowie's cat. I think we're so caught up in the frenetic chaos of life, and we don't necessarily stop and smell the roses. We don't garden with intention. It's like, oh, I got to get this done because I got to go, And this is important. So in looking at that, I would love for anyone that wants to hop into the seat to share their experience with this. And you can share your, part of your story of how you go through life, and if this has helped, how you feel about it, any kind of input. I welcome and invite anyone to pop in. Okay, you have Anna coming in.
Hi there.
Hey.
When I was in college, I think I learned a variation on this. Hey, Q. I'm the kind of person I just don't want to leave him hanging for 5 minutes while he asks the crowd to show up. I'm just like, I'm here. It's like in college,
And it's
who
good
puts their
support
hand up?
people.
So what I learned in college, I'm going to move the mic. Hopefully it works. Thank you. All right, True Gifts. I'm going to move the mic up so I can show you, but because I don't want to bang into it.
Okay.
And in college, I couldn't really do this because I had a deviated septum, and my college instructor he was the one that pointed it out because I couldn't do the exercise with the rest of the class.
Right.
But it's like it was in for 4 and then out for 4. So it's almost the same thing as let's see if I got it right.
It's very close.
Yeah, it's almost like what you were doing was this.
Yep.
And hers was this. Without the arm thing. But I like yours because it slows you down. You have to think, okay, where's my thumbs going? And it's nice.
Honestly, I think that was their intention. That was the preemptive practice to get into it. Because technically, yeah, I can get right into that, hands on ring finger down, and then you can do that. However, the preparation,
I think I like yours. Important. Yeah, I think I like yours better because it makes you think, and this I could go too fast on. Like if I pace it wrong, 1, 2, 3, 4, you go too fast. But yours was good. I like yours better. So.
And it's about being mindful and taking a break. This is more like a marathon and not a sprint. Like people who sprint, it's like all about the quick and fast. It's the quick and dirty. Right. They have to be as fast for as little short a time for X amount of distance. Right. But a marathon, you have to endure. You have to sit there and you have to pace your breathing. You have to pace your body to be able to go through the 5K or however the distance is.
Yeah, I never did marathon, but I did cross country in high school. So I liked it because it was something to conquer. So
exactly. And it's being more mindful. So that technique, doing that, is using proper form and being more mindful of that form to actually get into it.
And it feels kind of nice because you're putting something here and it's kind of warm, and it just calms you down. Even it's just
and you're crossing your heart. You're connecting to your chest. You're connecting physically, so that's also connecting your.
And I bet you if you showed Marissa, she would. It crosses the midpoint, and so like you said, it connects the brain. So I'm going to hop out and let other people come play.
Well, thank you so much, Anne, for coming in, Jerry.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it very much. Okay, True, would you like to pop in? Okay, you have True Gifts popping in. Hey, how goes it?
Really good. Finally, so yeah. I think, it's better with your guidance, with people's guidance when you meditate and stuff, and to bring you to center. Because for me, it really helps just concentrate. Because there's chatter that you have, and that I have, and then when you have someone else, be there, it really helps, get the chatter down. So.
Yeah, and that's the monkey mind. We all have it. It's just how much you have. It's like having unruly children. It's like you need to know when to put them into timeout, right? So it's the same thing. All those thoughts that are in your mind that are bouncing around like mental lists and having to do things and all this other stuff. We as people tend to multitask too much. Mm-hmm. How often do you actually sit and do one thing? Exactly. Exactly my point. So here you are. You're like, oh, I got to really think about that. When was the last time I actually sat and did one?
I don't know.
And this is the thing. Where with the world today, we're so busy all the time. It's like we have to be running on empty almost 24/7. So now, with being more mindful and using more self-care, it brings you to taking care of you, whether it be 5 minutes or an hour, just do it regularly. Just make it a regular thing. Make it part of your norm.
Yeah. Like the only reason I'm able to even having these spiritual practices. I had to conquer a lot of fear. I had to do a lot of inner work to even just get to a point where I can do simple meditations. That's the case for me, because I was actually afraid of meditation, because I was like, okay, well, I'm going to get my whole reality is going to be, thrown to bits, because I've had that happen to me sober. Like I've had my reality being torn apart for me, and I've been ripped apart, and
Right.
yeah, I've gone through like some crazy shit, and so I was afraid of meditation because I didn't want that to happen again.
Yeah.
I didn't want, because no, it was literally like my reality was being torn apart.
Right. But also too, there are things that you could do. So that's the important part, is there are things that you could do to minimize, and you have incredible strength. Now this is one of the great things about it. We don't give ourselves enough credit, enough power, enough strength. We don't connect ourselves enough in our spirituality. And it doesn't matter what spirituality. It doesn't matter if you're Catholic, Christian, Buddhist, Muslim. It doesn't matter. None of that matters. It's a fact of connecting to spirit, right?
Yeah.
So with you, you have a lot of energy and a lot of strength, and I can sense that in you. I can feel that in you. But the thing is, it's all about focus with you. It's just about focus. If you let that monkey mind go, well, then you're going to go on a trip, pal, for sure. You're going to go. Yeah. You're going to go all over the place. However, with a little bit more focus, and as you work on that focus, you're going to get better and better.
Yeah. The only thing I had with me was like my trust in God and spirit. That was the only thing I had. Like that was like the only thing I had left when all that crazy stuff was happening.
Right.
Then I landed myself back in the mental hospital, and that's all I had. I didn't have anything else. All I had was my higher self, my being. That's pretty much it.
Like a lot of times people look at it as a nervous breakdown. I have been in moments of crisis similar to you, and it was not easy, and it can get really ugly. However, it's those times that I think that amidst the breakdown, or I believe that breakthroughs as well, because then you have nothing holding you back. You're at that limit where you can only crawl up. You can only climb up from where you're at, right? You can only bring in light when it can be possibly that dark. So when you do that, it's like at that point where you're like, I've had it, I'm done. And then all of a sudden you take that moment to stop and breathe and to focus. Because I can tell you, I haven't known you long, True Gifts, but I know you've been to multiple shows of mine. And I see a difference just in the short amount of time I've known you, that you're a lot more calm. Even your energy around you is far more calm. So whatever work you're doing, it's working.
Yeah, well, I'm working on it every day.
And that's awesome. You're making it your new norm. And that is so important. Hey, Lance, welcome in. Welcome. Now, this is important. These are important things to make it your new norm. If you make it your new norm, then once it becomes normal, you're not going to know how to go through your day or week without it. And this is why I say about diets and things like that, going to the gym, make it your new norm. Don't say, I'm only going to do it until I lose X amount of pounds. I'm only going to do it until I bulk up, or this or that. Or I'll only quit eating this food until I lose certain weight or something. If you make it a lifestyle, you make it your new norm, whatever it is, you're going to find yourself, it's going to come easy to you. Just like breathing, just make it involuntary.
What I've been learning is to release control to the things I can't control in my life.
Yeah.
And to listen to my inner guidance. And I found that inner guidance is deeper than all the chatter. It's quiet. It's like a very deep, sometimes it does talk, but most of the time it's beneath all the chatter. It's like I don't know what's the correct word. But there's chatter, and then it's more powerful, but yet more silent.
Well, And I'm glad you said that, because honestly, that's very much like the Serenity Prayer. And what I like about Serenity Prayer, it doesn't really have any dogma attached to it. It's just, God grant me the serenity to accept things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And that is huge. That is so huge, right?
One of the challenges I face is that when it comes to spirituality now, I see like perfection. So it's like I will purposely throw myself into darkness because I don't want to mess up my spirituality, because I don't want to mess my spiritual evolution. And I fear, this is something I've been taught, and I'm pretty sure it's not true, but I fear that I will be punished if I do not go through the most darkness.
It's not about punishment. It's not about punishment at all. And that's something that we'll have to, we can talk about this more at length, because I know you and I have been needing to connect. So we'll definitely have to do that. But you don't have to punish yourself. There's no need to punish yourself. Now you can hang on for a sec. I just wanted to welcome David Bowie's cat, and you don't look like a cat, man. But nice to see you.
Oh,
I like the name.
Not actually a cat. But
how goes it?
I don't know. I was just digging on what you guys were talking about. The monkey mind. I've definitely heard that before. It's just what I was and I feel like sometimes you do have to isolate yourself in order to gain that certain amount of peace. But there's got to be a better way, right? Because you don't want to completely isolate yourself from society. But sometimes it feels like that's the only way. I went out shopping today, which is always a necessary evil. I had to get some clothes. And let's see, the first place I stopped off at was the garden center to buy some plants, because I love gardening. And that's really a great meditation, to look at a plant and to take care of something outside of yourself that doesn't care whether you take care of it or not. It's just a reflection of you. If you don't take care of a plant, you don't water it, you're basically an asshole, and you're going to look like... And
also, if you think about it from that, if you look at it from that perspective as well, you're being more mindful. You're mindfully gardening, and that is important. Okay. So in itself, just kind of toiling the land like mindlessly, you're actually putting so much of your energy into that, into nurturing that plant, nurturing that flower, nurturing that vegetable. And that mindfulness is so important. It's that intention that we started out speaking about in the beginning. It's intention. If you have a strong intention to do the best you can, I can almost guarantee that you are going to get better results with a good intention than having no intention or having a negative intention.
Yeah. I have something to add to that. So lately I've been learning about a lot about the divine masculine, because I've been thrown into the divine feminine so much. Mm-hmm. And I've learned that divine masculine is fearless love, and it's an embodiment of love. So if you've ever heard like Hanuman, there's a song called Rock On Hanuman. And it basically it's like divine masculine appreciates all beings, all aspects, and wishes to protect and take care of it. And what frustrates me about the New Age community, it's like we just kind of like do this, and when I looked into it and I felt the energy, it's incredibly powerful. It's beyond beautiful, and I feel like the New Age community just kind of emphasizes divine feminine and doesn't appreciate the brotherhood and fatherhood and stuff.
And it's good that you say that, because we are polarities. Even though, like, you may have had lifetimes where you are not a male. Now, of course, this is up to some of us here may or may not believe in reincarnation, and I am not going to impose that belief or that mindset on anyone. However, according to my belief, I believe that since energy cannot be created or destroyed, our souls, or our energetic, our bioelectric energy, or our soul,
our true state is androgynous. That's right.
And I do believe that as well. But we also have our polarities where it's male and feminine. We have the divine masculine and the divine feminine. We have the divine warrior and the divine nurturer. And it's all within us, that yin yang energy we have within us. So I'm glad that you brought that in, because it's so important.
Yeah. For me, the divine warrior was stripped away from me, and because of shame and guilt, and didn't have that. And so I thought I was mainly feminine for most of my life, and I have no shame in that. But my I have more masculine energy. I'm learning, but I'm truly more like this, centered. But
Right.
you know what I'm trying to say? It's like I can play with the energies. That's what I can do.
And that's what you're doing. Like you are balancing, you're in the process of, in your journey, balancing the energies, both polarities, to be you.
Yeah.
The best you can be. And that's important. So this is all part of that mindfulness bit. You know, this is all part of it. Is if you are more mindful of what you do, how you communicate, who you talk to, who you attract.
Yeah.
If you're more responsible for your actions, your thoughts, and your deeds, then guess what? Your life is only going to improve.
Yeah.
Whether it be a little or whether it be a lot. And thank you so much, Luke. I appreciate that. And this is why I do this. This is why I do this show. This is why I share the wisdom I've learned. I'm learning something from you, from both of you. You see?
And I come here because I like to learn from you guys.
But see, this is the great thing. This is the great thing about this, is that we're all learning from each other. There are so many things you can learn from everybody.
Yeah, I know there's so many people in the spiritual community, because you're talking about androgyny and women that they say I want to embrace my goddess. I am a goddess, you know. But a lot of men, well, they could say, well, I am a god. Well, that doesn't really sound. That might offend some people, you know. But embrace whatever your true divinity, whatever that is, you know, whatever you want to call it.
What I'm seeing is a lot of shame in men because, you know, like it's like it's almost it's almost shameful to be like a man, and I think that's kind of a poison in society. And it's like
I feel you. I feel you on that.
You know what I mean? Like,
but honestly,
stigma.
I don't think it's a stigma, and I agree with you. It's a stigma, and it's not something you should not be ashamed being a woman or a man. We are all equal. You
should not be ashamed to be who you truly are in this lifetime.
I agree completely.
A man or a woman. So,
and ultimately, honestly, you are the importance here is to really connect with your I am, connect with your spirit, who you are mentally, spiritually, you know, mindfully, everything. So you have to own. You have to own it.
Yeah.
And thank you very much, Anna, for that. I appreciate that.
True. Men do need to own their own divinity, their own realness, their own realness.
And I agree. And this is the important part.
Be selfish about it. It's
Exactly. So now this all brings us back to the topic of breathing, of connecting with oneself, owning one's polarities, all of that. And this is why we're sharing this.
Just on the subject of polarity, and I was talking about gardening earlier. I was in the Home Depot section, the gardening section, and there was such a good energy, you know. And then I had to go to the checkout, and I walked through the hardware section, and it was just amazing to feel like the monkey mind, the chatter. We got to get this done. The plumbing, the roof's leaking, you know. But if you go to the gardening side, everybody's just It's almost like you're spending money on yourself if you're spending money on plants. If you can look at it that way. I mean, even if it's just a small amount of money you're spending on seeds to grow the soil, whatever. Yeah. And then I had to go over to Target, even worse, to buy some clothes. I had to return some clothes and the people ahead of me were getting ready for this big, illustrious sort of get together, and they were buying all these bottles of wine and all these Solo cups, and like there's just like all these people like breathing very shallow, you know, just in the moment, just like I'm returning this, I'm buying this, and it's just I could feel it when I went to the woman I was cashing out. I brought something to her, like from the gardening store over to Target. I was just like, thank you very much, you know, have a nice day. And that's what I want to embody, really, and that's like the constant struggle for me.
And this is the thing is. All of this brings us back to what you even said. You were mindful and you saw people breathing shallowly.
Yeah.
You felt the energy of that.
I tend to mimic other people when I just mirror their, and I think that everybody does to a certain degree,
Well,
unconsciously.
you have to be watchful of that as well, because sometimes that does happen where we absorb other people's stuff, and then
I think it's a strong
Oh
mind.
yeah.
Kind of not build a barrier to it, but just it's kind of like an aura that just kind of deflects, bad stuff when you see it. You don't have,
like a Jedi Knight, like a Jedi Master. It's like they know what to let in and what not to let in, right?
Yeah,
which is true.
You don't have to judge it or put a name on it, but just recognize that it's there and remain true to yourself and what you want to be.
Yeah, you're right on.
Definitely.
I agree with that.
It also too, and again, this is all, and I'm so glad you guys came in. This is the first time I've got to meet David Bowie's cat.
Cat.
Yes, his cat. And so I'm going to say David for all intended purposes for this moment. And of course, true. And this is something where being mindful, and we're going to close down the recording and we can continue with this conversation, because this, again, so amazingly important. And I want to continue. And I like, within my show, a lot of times it goes into a little bit of a tangent, but it's usually somewhat close to the topic, but it kind of goes off, it veers off. So it's a good form of the monkey mind. It's still kind of, sort of, but it kind of drifts a little bit. But I do not want to dismiss the rest of this conversation, because this is so important to me. It gives my heart joy to be able to share with you and to listen to your stories and your experiences. And we can share our own inner healing, because that's what makes me stronger. That's what makes you stronger. And if we all do that and are more mindful in the world, the way where we have to, connect with the world, then we'll be more powerful. We'll be more effective. We're going to be stronger. We're going to be able to adapt with things so much easier. So
yeah, and Moonshadow, that we did get off on a tangent. But sometimes tangents can be beautiful, right?
Yes, they can be.
As long as it's not about politics and religion.
Exactly.
But I do want to thank you so much, because when I came home, I was like, all right, I'm going to de-stress. I'm going to log into Blab. Everybody's arguing about politics and religion. Let me come into Moonshadow's room. Immediately, I'm just flushed with calm energy, and I just appreciate that so much. I just want to say.
Well, honestly, that helps so much, because, as much inner work that I have done myself over 30 years of this, I've been doing this all my life, even as a young kid. And to hear that really empowers me so much more to want to do this every week and share with you guys. So this is why this is happening. This is why I'm doing it. This is the why. It's not so much I want to hear myself speak or anything like that. It's not about that. It's about the sharing of the story. It's about, this is what I've learned. If you can apply it, and if it's good for you, then good for you. It's all about that sharing of the energy, sharing of unconditional love, sharing this unconditional wisdom that I may have gotten some, but you didn't. So I'm sharing with you. Now you have it. You can share it, and you can go out there and share with other people. So all those kind words that you guys share with me, it is amazingly and so powerfully empowering to me. And I have to say that it's like, this is the 14th episode, and you guys have been there with me from the beginning. And I really, really, really appreciate greatly the fact that you come in, that you take time out of your day. Some people in this room, they say Mondays, I make it a point to do less on Mondays and to be here. Yeah. So I could be taking care of myself. And part of this experience too, and people have told me this, some people in this room, that they take this time to share and to go within themselves. So I appreciate, and I'm grateful for you guys allowing me to be part of your mindful time, your me time.
Oh, thank you. Because we all
I,
live. We
I just
all
wanted to say thank you because this feels like a really good, I don't know, connection between the three of us. It feels really in alignment. So I just wanted to say thank you guys.
And I really appreciate that
So,
very much. You guys are awesome. You guys really are. And if no one else, honestly, if no one else has given you the credit, if no one else if anyone has judged you, if anyone that has said to you, you're not good enough, you're not thin enough, you're not tall enough, you know what? And I'm going to say this, and I'm not going to be all cosmic and healing at this moment. I'm going to say, screw that and screw them. Okay? You need to be yourself, and you need to find your center. You know,
yeah.
take ownership of your I am, because it's so important. Don't let anyone change who you are, but learn from people, learn from them. So now at this point of the show, what I'm going to do is I'm going to close out the recording.
Okay.
So I'm going to close it up, and then we can continue this conversation and discussion.
Oh.
And I want to thank you guys ahead of time that I'm so glad you guys are here. Okay, we'll close it up. Okay, so I want to thank all of you, and blessings to all of you who have joined me today, as well as my replay, my YouTube, and my Phoenix Rising viewers. I appreciate you all. Please feel free to connect with me and follow and subscribe to my social media. You can find all my links on moonphoenixrising.com. You can also subscribe to my YouTube channel. I invite you to do that, because if you can't catch the replay here in Blab, you could catch it over on YouTube, also on my website, moonphoenixrising.com. So thank you so much. I'm so grateful for all of you. May you have peace, love, abundance to all of you. Take care, and see you guys soon.
All right.